All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to you. Let's get this thing started. Let me just check all the platforms real quick. LinkedIn. LinkedIn first. Events. LinkedIn, we're good. Check all the platforms real quick. You know how we go every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tackling turnover with teamwork. I have a whole lot. Man, there's a lot of stuff to get to, especially this time of year when we see the alliance between the connection between sports and politics and how it all ties in together. It is incredibly important that you understand this stuff, man. This is real important. Incredibly important that you understand this stuff, man. All right. So good on Facebook. Facebook, good morning. Let me go check YouTube real quick and then we'll get this started. Yes, like I said, we got a lot to get to. Today, this weekend, a lot of stuff is coming down. A lot of stuff is going down. All right, a lot of stuff is going down in the world in which I live for this time of year. You see the thumbnail. See the thumbnail. All right, you see the thumbnail. You see what I'm all about. Sports, politics, business. And your eyes are not playing tricks on you. You are seeing exactly what I believe, and I'm not alone in this belief. All right. I know may not seem like it, but Tyler Warren is the real Heisman winner. The fact that he wasn't even picked as a finalist is an absolute shame. It's an absolute shame. It shows a lot of disrespect, for the players that are doing a whole lot of different things. All right. So before we get into all that, let me just introduce myself to anybody that's new to my world. Name is Aswan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do is I create a brand, create a company, create a whole movement, a whole way of life in which we take the lessons that I learned, of teamwork lessons that I learned on the football field, and we apply them to businesses and apply them to business owners and help business owners everywhere build cohesive teams and make it so staff members, employees are coming in with a hungrier mentality, to the point in which they start to become and feel like they are the actual employers of wherever it is they work. So first things first, let's get through some announcements. Let's get through my announcements. First things first, West Palm Beach, Florida. If you are interested in boxing lessons, free boxing lessons, I host those every 2 weeks. Just contact me if you're interested in doing any of that. Hit the QR code right there and all the information will be sent to you. Next thing, business owners tuning in, if you have not yet, make sure you go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. It's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. I've created 10 easy ways, 10 easy steps that you can follow that will lead to less turnover in your business. All right. And finally, Patreon. Tap into the Patreon link. We have something for everybody at every level, no matter where you are financially. If you are a business owner and you're interested in exclusive content that's going to lead to you making it so you hire better, you have the right partnerships, whether it's an agency that you bring on, whether it's an actual physical person, however you're using these forms of technology to build out your staff and to build out your team, we have a level for every single person. All right. Let's tap in to the Patreon link. The link is right there, patreon.com/as144. All right. So before I get into today's topic, I started talking about this a little bit. I was titled The Real Heisman. In my opinion, and I've been saying this since I think it was like week 3 or earlier in the season, that Tyler Warren, the first time I saw Tyler Warren play, all right, I said to myself, this right here is the best player in college football. And the fact that he has not been invited as a finalist for the Heisman Trophy, it takes me to another level of disappointment in the people who are picking and making these decisions. So I have to come on here and speak up for the folks that are doing a whole lot. All right. And this isn't just a Tyler Warren or a football thing. It's for everyone out there that is working a job and is doing a whole lot for the company, a whole lot for the business, that is just not being appreciated in the nationals, in kind of the national sense. And how you as a business owner, if you don't start appreciating your people that actually do a lot of things for you and get a lot of things done, that can lead to some absolutely horrendous results. I'm talking results in which you lose your business and all that. All right. So before I get into too deep into that topic, let me address some current events. At least one of the I'll be addressing quite a few current events this weekend throughout all my content. But the first one that I have to address is the whole Coach Bill Belichick, officially becoming the head coach at the University of North Carolina. Now, this is going to be the first of probably 2, maybe 3 takes on this. All right, I'm born in 1989, so I grew up right in the heart of the Patriots dynasty. All right, so I, for the most part, am a fan, so to speak. I do enjoy. I like Bill Belichick. I read several of his books. I think the latest biography that was written about him, like the 400-page biography. I read that about him. I read Dave Havilston's The Education of a Coach. I'm a fan of Tom Brady. You know, I appreciate greatness. I appreciate anyone that has the amount of success and the amount of Super Bowls that he's won. I appreciate the fact that there was one year that Bill Belichick won a Super Bowl, actually, and he only had 1 first-round draft pick. So his nucleus, the foundation that Coach Belichick is all about, I'm all about it. So when this whole thing about him going to UNC and become the head coach at UNC, it touched me a little different because, you know, he's retired nowadays. He's in the 70s. He's dating some 20-year-old cheerleader that used to be with the Patriots. You know, he's loving life. He's living life. So, you know, initially I'm like, oh man, you got Coach Belichick on a college campus. Oh, it's about. And I had a lot of jokes. That I could have came on here and said, you know, again, you got Bill Belichick, 72. He's got himself a 20-year-old girl, and now he's on college campuses. Now stuff could get a little dicey now. It could get certain things might go down, you know. But on a serious note, the thing I'm waiting before I give my full take or my full thoughts on Coach Belichick and what he did or what he decided to do as becoming the head coach for the University of North Carolina Tar Heels is I'm my personal opinion, my theory is that he's doing it to open up a doorway for his son. You know, I've been in the business. I know several coaches. I've spent time as a college scout. Know a lot of people who've coached college football, and several of them have taken jobs. They've taken college jobs specifically so they can give their son an opportunity. And if you guys don't know, his son, Coach Belichick's son, I believe is the defensive coordinator for the Washington Huskies. So my theory is that eventually his son is going to go and coach at UNC and be the defensive coordinator. And within maybe 5 years or whatever it is, 5 years, or even if he lasts only 4 years, whatever it is, eventually they're going to become his son's going to eventually become the head coach at University of North Carolina. And that was my theory when I first heard it. But then I watched the clip from his press conference and I was thinking, I'm like, what is the connection? What is the connection? Because you guys understand with these coaching jobs, if you guys don't know, every time somebody takes a coaching job like Mac Brown, who UNC had before, Mac Brown started out at UNC before he got to Texas and before he worked TV and all that kind of stuff. So I was looking and trying to figure out what is the connection between Bill Belichick and the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. And as I did more research, I realized that his dad actually coached at UNC. I'm going to play this clip for a second.
Sweatshirt, but truth of the matter is, I already have one. It's good to have two. That was actually my dad's from when he coached here. Yeah, you can tell I like it, right? I've kept it a long time. It's got a little wear on it.
You see my point? You see what I mean? So when you're talking about coaching jobs and there's going to be a lot of openings, a lot of new information, a lot of jobs being shuffled around in the next month, and I'm gonna be addressing all of it. But the bottom line to it is it has to come from a place in which you're willing to buy into a family. It's not just going out and getting a job that's going to pay your bills and all that kind of stuff, like a typical 9 to 5 or whatever it is, whatever you do for a living. You have to take on a coaching job as if it is something in which you're doing to help a particular family member. All right. I did a whole go back and look at one of the first episodes I've done of this show. I talked about nepotism and the positive that actually do come with nepotism. And one of the things that we just saw here is that, look, Bill Belichick, he's a coach. He's a football coach. That's what he is. He's a very successful one. And in retirement, eventually he comes out, he wants to give back to his kid. He wants to give back to his son. So my theory is that eventually he's going to bring his son to be his defensive coordinator, and him being at UNC is kind of bringing back it's like things going full circle for him. It's bringing back some childhood memories that he may have had when his dad coached at UNC, something that a lot of people didn't know. So it's his way of reliving and bringing that forward. So I applaud him. I'm rooting for him, man. I hope they actually do well, because again, I have liked Coach Belichick over the years. Anybody that's been born and raised in Maryland, as you're gonna find out in a couple as I continue with this episode, anybody that's from the D.M.V. or been spending time in the D.M.V. and learn their football stuff in Maryland, I'm all with it. I'm all with it. I'm here for it, baby. I'm here for it. I'm here for my D.M.V. folks who've been born and raised in Maryland, learned the game of football in that great state of Maryland. I'm here for it. I'm always going to ride with my guys no matter what. So that's my take on it. All right. So as far as today's topic, the real Heisman, the real Heisman. All right. So before I get into this, let me explain what Move Swiftly means, what the whole brand, and why I'm always calling myself the Move Swiftly speaker. And you see these pencils right here that say +LY. I'm going to break it down for anybody that does not know the meaning. All right. First and foremost, Swiftly is an acronym. Swiftly is an acronym that I created, actually, coincidentally, while I was watching a college football game. All right. I was developing as a public speaker, and I gave a great speech, and I got great evaluations from this. I was at this club named Toastmasters, and I gave a great speech. And when you get great evaluations from real speakers, seasoned speakers who are like telling me, hey, look, I need to put my own content out there. I need to have my own intellectual property out there. I need to own something that's going to lead to me speaking more and more and more and more and more, and developing in the public speaking world. That happened. It happened on a day, it was before COVID, like 2019. A little bit before COVID, a couple months before COVID shut everything down. But I gave a great speech, and I remember leaving that Toastmasters meeting really just a word just hit me. Now, the word Swiftly didn't hit me out the blue. What actually was deep within me before I came up on the word Swiftly was my experience as a college football player, which, by the way, I have it right here, documented, transferring D1. At this particular school, Stony Brook University, all right, I was there 2 years, and I was, for the most part, I did make the travel squad, but for the most part, I was basically a scout team player. I was a scout team player, that guy that's giving the first team guys a look, and making sure I'm showing up as a look guy every single time, working my ass off in practice. Any one of my teammates that knew me back then knows, look, if Crunk, they called me Crunk back then, but if Crunk is anything, he's going to come out and practice and bust his ass and do what he got to do. He may not be the starter, but he's going to do what he has to do to at least be respected amongst us as teammates. Every last one of them will tell you that. So because I wasn't a starter, I wasn't one of the main players when I was there, the times in which I felt like I was part of the team the most was during the off season. All right. And in the off season, all of the workouts, everything is separated. The team is separated into 3 groups. You have Group A, Group B, and Group C. Group A are your skilled guys, all right? Wideouts, cornerbacks, running backs, all right? Guys that are just incredible athletes. You put them in any sport, eventually they're going to excel. So, and then you had my group, Group B, which was the linebackers, the fullbacks, tight ends, quarterbacks, guys that were not necessarily as athletic as the Group A guys, but what we lacked in athletic ability, we had in obviously information, because we had to be the people that we're responsible for a lot of the things that go on day to day on in a football game. It's those front seven guys that have to do a lot of the dirty work. All right. Then you had Group C, big boys, the big offensive and defensive linemen that no one gives a shit about unless. Ooh, okay, I'm down. I'm working towards only limiting myself to 10 curse words, 10 swear words a week, and I just used up one, so I'm down to 9. So so group I'm working on it, guys. All right, so Group C was the big boys, the offensive and defensive linemen, and you only care about them when they're giving up a sack or there's a holding penalty or something like that. Again, that's the crew that not a lot of that doesn't get any glory. They're just out there working, blocking and filling gaps and holes and stuff like that, right? So as I'm giving this speech, it's taking me, like, as I'm developing as a public speaker during this particular time, it's taking me back to that time when I felt like I was part of a team. A lot of people refer to it as your glory years. So in my mind, I'm thinking about how I can connect what goes on in the football world and align it with business. And I was saying to myself, okay, what if we were to put people in 3 different categories? What if we take business and to put folks in 3 different categories in terms of how we hire them? So it started off with skilled. That's why the word skilled, swiftly, that's why it's starting with an S. All right. So the acronym started to hit me after the skilled thing hit, after it was like skilled, because I was thinking about Group A and how sometimes you'd get a linebacker, like shout out to Coach Santucci, if you may be listening, as of this recording, he's a defensive coordinator at Georgia Tech, but Coach Tucci was a linebacker, but he's running with Group A. All right. So that made him better. He was better. He was skilled, obviously skilled enough to run with Group A guys, but he's still a Group B guy that's well informed, and that just makes the team better. He's one of the main people. So all of that, like just that example in itself is why, in my opinion, Tyler Warren is, period, point blank, no full end of sentence, should be the best player in college football. Period. He's the best player in college football because of the amount of things he can do. All right. So you get swiftly, and the way I came up with the acronym, just to kind of give you guys some information so you guys understand it. If you're not in the football world, you may not know how it works in the football world. But S stands for skilled. All right, skilled workers, your cosmetologists, your plumber, your people who are getting paid just off their skill. Plumbers, anybody who is contracted and you have a skill of doing this particular thing, whether you're a skilled mechanic, whether you're like I said, skilled at doing hair, whether you're skilled at fixing buildings, a skilled architect, whatever it is your skill is, your welder. I don't know what it is. You are able to be a tech wizard. If you're skilled and you're getting paid just off your skilled, great. That's what the S stands for. So those people who may be a gift of gab and you know how to sell, you can sell water to a whale, whatever it is, right? You have a great skill. If you're getting paid just off your skill, that's a category of workers that you need to bring in, whether it's through contracting them, whatever it is, however it is you bring them in, you need skill in your business. However, the caveat to that is if you're only getting paid off your skill, you run the risk of that skill no longer being available to you. So if we're going to look at it from the football context, if you're a cornerback that is just has the great hips, can turn, can move, can do a lot of great things, and God forbid something happens to your toe. All right, since we'll use prime time as an example. One of the things that derailed his career was just an incredible toe injury, and eventually if I'm not mistaken, he actually had to get that toe cut off eventually. So that's one of the things where that skill, as skilled as Coach Primetime was, he gets an injury in his toe, and all of a sudden his career is no longer where it used to be. He's not making the plays, not able to do the things that he was able to do before toe injury. And you would think, man, a toe injury, but when you press on and you try to run on a bad toe, trust me, it's incredibly, incredibly painful. All right. So when you have skill, it's great, but God forbid something happens where you're no longer able to use that skill. So you have S, then you have WI, which is well informed. And every time I do this, and I call it a Move Swiftly workshop, and I'm just giving you kind of a brief overview of it right now. But every time I do Move Swiftly workshop and I get to WI, the well-informed crew, I pause and I say, look, no matter what you take out of this presentation, every last one of you need to be looking or striving towards becoming more well-informed, because it's the information that's going to give you power. All right. The well-informed crew are a lot like the people that I'm very similar to the individual I'm going to be talking about today. His name is Tyler Warren, where you spent time as a quarterback. He's tight end, fullback. You know, he has to get in block. Well-informed people are responsible. They're responsible for putting skilled folks in the right position. All right. And they have something to do. They have to be involved in every single play on every single aspect, in whether you're talking business or you're talking on the football field. All right. So that's well informed. And then the FT stands for front team. This is the crew that I referred to earlier, the offensive and defensive linemen, that if the only time they're going to ever be noticed is if they're making a mistake. So that's Swift, right? Which is where the plus LY comes in, because what happened was, like I mentioned, I was watching ironically, I came up with this acronym on a Saturday, and it was the Saturday in which it was Clemson taking on Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. I think it was the Fiesta Bowl, the one that's in California. It wasn't the Rose Bowl. I think it was the Fiesta Bowl. Either the Rose Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl. The bottom line is this was back when Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson, and he was an absolute beast, a dog. I mean, the kind of accuracy he had was incredible. But when I watched him play, there was a time, and this is why Trevor Lawrence was absolutely unstoppable when he was at Clemson, because there was a play in which he drops back. The play's covered. He has nowhere to go, and then he's here. He takes it down and takes that mofo about 50 yards down the field, and he is moving. Dude is out of there. He's out of there. I mean, he's outrunning DBs, skilled guys, and as he's running, you see he's just as fast as his receivers. And I watched that play, and that's where the whole plus LY thing came in, because it's like, if you lift yourself, if you're like, whether it is Trevor Lawrence or it is Tyler Santucci, if you're a well-informed guy that's running with skilled dudes, all right, then that's when you become more of a valuable prospect. And it was no secret why he was the number one pick. All right. So that's what it means. So when it comes to why the thumbnail and why I believe Tyler Warren needs to be considered as is the real Heisman winner and is the actual best player in college football, is look at the amount of things he can do. Forget about the flash. All right. Forget about the flash. Forget about what the media makes a big deal of, and think about all the things he can do. Right now, pull this picture up. Right. These are the amount of positions that Tyler Warren has played. He goes from play. Let me just look in the camera real quick. He was a high school quarterback. All right. He played quarterback in high school. All right. That should tell you a whole lot, because quarterback, again, is the hardest position on the football field. And I don't care what level it is. When you play quarterback in an actual game, it's a different mentality that you have to take, because it requires a lot of information here. You can't just let your skill take over. You have to really know where this one is, put the ball here, maybe go to an audible. You have to manage a game. If you ever watch Peyton Manning play, he manages the game. Okay, so these are all of the positions that we've seen Tyler Warren play this year. He went from quarterback, running back, wide out, tight end, center, and offense. All of them. Every single one of them. All six. I mean, he's played every single position. Every single one. Okay. And when you look at the people, and we're going to show a lot of respect. We're going to show a lot of respect for all of the current Heisman finalists. We're going to show a lot of respect. I've watched all four of them play this year. They are absolute beasts. They're dogs. I will give you that. But when you look at the two pictures and you look at the two stats, Dylan Gabriel, quarterback that had an incredibly high-powered offense, and it would have been really hard for him to have a bad year with the kind of offense that he was surrounded in. The Dan Lanning, the defense that they had, the defensive line, all that kind of stuff. He had a good team around him. So again, because you're the number one team and you're the quarterback on the number one team, you gotta have to be put on the list. All right. Now for Travis Hunter, again, incredible talent. One of the most talented players I have ever seen. I mean, the way he goes up and catches certain passes, his athletic ability, all of that second to none. But let's be honest, if you watched an entire Colorado game, you don't see him have the same effect that Tyler Warren has on every single play. As a again, I'm going to pause because there's a lot of prime sexuals out there who may have liked me yesterday, but they're not going to like me today because of what I'm going to say. Is you can be a corner, you can be a cornerback, and you can be a wide receiver, the two positions that he plays, and you get plays off. You do. You get plays off. You get certain running plays off. I can go pull up tons of clips where there's actual wide receivers that all pro wide receivers that are in honest moments saying, look, there's a running play going on. You and the DB got a little thing going on where you don't feel like you're kind of tied. You guys get at each other where it's kind of fake blocking and all that kind of nonsense. You get plays off as a wide receiver and a corner. It happens. It's not taken away from his athletic ability, not taken away from how talented he is, because he is, not taken away from anything, but you get plays off as a wide receiver and a corner. And that happens. Now, granted, being a corner is the hardest position to play because you got to cover a lot of ground and there's a lot of things that you have to do. But in terms of just getting plays off, it happens. So this whole thing about him playing whatever the number of snaps is that they like to throw out there, that's not really a strong argument. Just isn't. All right. Now let's go to Ashton Jeanty. Again, great talent, but he's not he's the running back. He's not actually blocking for himself. It's not possible. He's not blocking for himself. He's not splitting out as a wide out and doing things. He's not snapping the ball, taking the ball and throwing it. He's just not as much of a threat. He's not as much of a threat as this guy. Okay, he's not. And then you have Cam Ward, where I don't even know, as talented as he is, the few games that I watched, I don't see how he made that. I mean, if anything, I feel like definitely Tyler Warren should have been on the list over a Cam Ward. Again, great talent, great play, great story. Listen, I'm an FCS guy. I love the fact I think he won the best quarterback award last night. I think I saw that. So on that front, he has had a great year, and I do for the most part like Cam Ward as a player. But don't listen just to me, all right? Because I could talk about this for hours upon hours upon hours. I'm going to play you a couple clips here. That display everything from Coach James Franklin talking about him to actual film breakdown of everything that Tyler Warren can do or Tyler Warren has done this year. And then I'll give you my personal experience that I've had when I was playing and how the position, again, this position, and I want to make sure I'm on the record stating this, that it is not a shot at any one of these four guys. Trust me, all four of them, incredibly talented players. But when you think about who's going to have the most impact at the next level, who's going to be the player, if you're an NFL GM and you're evaluating folks and you're saying, who's the guy that's going to be able to do the most for me? Who's the guy that's going to be the most versatile on the field? It is not any one of these four. It is this dude right here. But I'll let Coach James Franklin take it over.
Tyler Warren breaking another record. He might have the most broken records maybe ever here. Can you just talk about his play again and how impressive he was for another week?
Yeah, he's a beast. And I think the point is that everybody goes into it saying you got to stop Tyler Warren. Everybody's defensive game plan is we can't allow 44 to impact the game. Just like for us, it was Ty Felton. We went into this saying Ty Felton's going to make some plays. He's a really good player, but we got to limit his impact. Everybody said that every single week with Tyler Warren. No one's done it. They ought to bring the Mackey Award tonight, put it on a private jet, fly it to Tyler Warren, give it to him on Sunday, and then he should get an invitation to New York. He's done it week in and week out. He's a big-time player, and he's doing it when all eyes are on him, and he's the focus of the game plan to stop him. So he's a special guy. his humility is impressive. Yeah, you guys ask him questions. Every question he gets, it's an opportunity for him to turn the attention to his teammates. He's a stud. He's a stud. I'm going to try to convince his parents. I'm going to send them to one of them romantic vacations up in the Poconos and try to get the parents to have more. I don't know if that'll happen.
So yeah, that last part, I know he kind of made a joke about it at the end, but it's a serious thing, right? That last part, in terms of his humility, I've watched several of his interviews. Like I said, I'm a D.M.V guy. I wore the jersey number 44. Folks out there probably say, like, I get it. I may be biased. That's a fair point, but the humility on this guy, if you go look at his interviews and you go watch everything that he's done, the amount of times he's constantly just deflecting the attention from all about me, all about me, all about me. Those are the kinds of things that represent college football versus what you see with some of the other candidates, where every time you make a play, you got to strike the pose, and you getting in the back and forth. You want some social media. Oh, I'm the real Heisman. All the individual accolades, which again, it may feed an ego, but what's really going to be good for the game? What are we as adults responsible for feeding and explaining to our young kings? Like who if you're asking me, my nephew's 13 years old, and he's now getting into the high school football world. If he's asking me, who exactly should I? He's like, yo, who's the actual player I need to be looking to emulate and looking to really model my game after? I would not tell him Travis Hunter. I would tell him Tyler Warren, because of the amount of things he can do. The amount of things he can do is going to be what leads to the people that really evaluate the game. I'm not talking about media members. All right. As talented as this guy is, he's talented. You mean to tell me you can't go to Alabama or go to one of these SEC schools and find another skilled guy that is just every bit as talented as Travis Hunter? Be honest. Be honest. Prime. If you were to, I guarantee it. He probably won't get asked this because the people in the media don't want to ask him this. But if you were to get Coach Prime in an honest moment and say, look, you grab my man from Alabama, Williams. You mean to tell me that him on Travis Hunter and one-on-ones, Travis Hunter is just absolutely putting him down, like he just won't catch any passes on Travis Hunter? Come on, man. Come on. These skill players come a dime a dozen. This kind of guy that's doing all of these things, you don't get those. All right, let me let the film talk, because one of the things about football is there could be a lot of conversation, a lot of debate. You can go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for hours. But when you turn the film on, my coach used to say this when I was at Stony Brook. He would say, the film don't lie. I'm going to say it again, nice and clear, just in case you guys missed it. The film does not lie. Let's go to the film and watch everything that Tyler Warren was able to do this year. That's on film. This is on tape. This is not somebody who's from Penn State. That's just some fan that's talking. I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm caping up for the guy for one of our rivals in Penn State, because I watched the game and I'm honest when it comes to, hey, this guy deserves to be in New York this weekend, and he should be taking home the Heisman Trophy if people actually cared about the kinds of things that he does. But let's go to the film. Let's go to the film before I keep talking.
This is more just whatever's going to help us from week to week.
With Tyler, he's a really smart football player, so we're able to line him up as a receiver on the outside.
Who else? Tyler Warren.
We're able to line him up in the slot. We're able to line him up as a traditional tight end at the line of scrimmage because he's big and strong and can block. He can also line in the hit position, we call, kind of like in the wing position off of the offensive tackle.
Wide open touchdown, Tyler Warren.
He can line up in the backfield as a fullback or H-back.
He might have been all conference in 4 positions.
But I think the thing that really helps is the fact that he played quarterback in high school. So he's done all these things, and he's comfortable doing all these things, and we're comfortable as coaches asking him to do these things, and then he can throw the ball.
Run of the Wildcat. Warren is going to throw it to the outside. Singleton, touchdown. Warren's doing it all.
Thanks to new offensive coordinator Andy Kotelnicki's creative offense, Tyler's versatility.
That's on film. This is film. This is not some debate. This is not people just talking. This is on tape, folks. A quarterback, a wide receiver, fullback, tight end, guys blocking all. I mean, this is on film. The versatility. Imagine. Okay, let me just talk this. Let me talk you guys through this. Imagine being an offensive coordinator right now. Imagine being an offensive coordinator, and you don't know what to do. You don't have the depth. Who are you bringing in? Are you bringing in the guy that's playing one position, pretty much as one position, which is all four of these guys, minus Travis Hunter, who technically plays two positions, but they're more so on the perimeter, right? He's not blocking anybody. He's not going to be able to block anybody. He's not going to play fullback or anything like that. Or the guy that's actually doing everything. And he, like James Franklin just said, he can throw. The dude played quarterback in high school, so he can actually throw. So let's get to more film. And I'm going to break down the position. I have a couple more clips to show you in terms of the film, so you know I'm not just BSing you. I'm not BSing you. This guy should have been. It is a absolute shame that he wasn't even a finalist, and it sends the wrong message to anybody that really watches the game. Any of these young players, the young high school players, youth players that need to learn the ins and outs of the game and the details of the game and how you actually win football games as a team. All right, here's another.
But it was one particular play that put him on the map.
Going to be a double pass. Aller loads, fires deep. Man, there is Warren. Got it! Touchdown, Penn State.
We knew once we got across the 50 and the ball was towards the left hash, we were going to call it. So we get out there, I just say shift, and everybody knows where to go after that.
Realistically, we thought Tyler was going to be able to break it flatter across the field, but for whatever reason, the safety kind of fell into it, so Ty just made a decision to just go straight up field.
Tyler Warren snapped the ball, and then he caught the ball. You don't see that very often.
He does it in that game, on that stage, in LA. It's like movie script type of deal. And then not only that, like he mosses the guy.
Throws downfield, Warren, he reaches up in the end zone. He's there, he's got it, touchdown, Penn State.
Period. I don't even have to say it because the film does not lie. There's a couple more here there's two more that I want to play for you. They give you a breakdown of all the things that individual can do, and then I'll close out with some of the stories that I've had playing it or being in that tight end room and in the linebacker room when I was in college.
Versatile weapons in the entire country, whether it's catching, running, or even throwing touchdowns. He's been a dynamic threat for the Nittany Lions offense the entire season. Let's dive into the tape of the unique role he plays and why he's such a promising NFL prospect. Penn State lines up Warren just about everywhere. Check out this 3rd and 1 last weekend against Purdue. They have him in a variation of the Wildcat. Keep in mind, he's a legit threat to throw, so the defense can't entirely sell out against the run. But he's in there to move the chains with that 6'6", 257-pound frame of his. What leaves the defense speechless is the breakaway speed. This isn't a tush-push 1-yard conversion. Instead, it's explosive touchdown run where no one catches him. The fun is just getting started. Now let's take a look at Warren working out of the slot against Ohio State. He wants to get going vertically, but not a lot of tight ends are simply going to outrun a corner. Where they, and especially he, has the advantage.
Okay, before I play the next one, I want to make sure I double down on what he just said. A tight end on a corner, a tight end in the slot is a major luxury for any offensive coordinator. Okay, because if you have a tight end that can go in the slot, you can line up. Let's say you line up in I formation, and then you're able to pull it out, go to shotgun. If your tight end can pose a threat in the pass game on that slot, it opens up this DB. It spreads the defense out, and then you could just hit them with the draw play, and boom, they can't just sell out for the run. Just like he was saying, when you have a guy that's played quarterback and you put him in the backfield as the quarterback, you can't just say, okay, because Tyler Warren's there, I'm going to just sell out for the run because I know he's going to run. No, you have to actually respect his ability to pass. It makes you incredibly flexible as a is a play caller. And just to give you an example, when I played it, and actually when I played at Stony Brook, we had a player. His name was Melaquan Saffo. We used to call him Mel. What's up, man? We used to call him Mel. And Mel, and when I was on the defensive side, I didn't realize how good of a player he actually was. So when they moved me to fullback, I remember Coach Woods was telling me, he wasn't just telling me, he was telling all of us in the fullback and the tight end room. He would say, look, used to tell Mel that he was the best player on offense. He would tell him all the time. And it was because of the amount of things he can do. And there was a point there where it was that spring where I was just learning the fullback position at that level, where I stayed in Coach Woods' office for about an extra hour after he had left, and he put up a clip of all of Melaquan's, all of his highlights. It was like a highlight tape of how to block, how to move your shoulder, how to dig certain blocks out, how to make sure you're on the wing and then be able to motion you to the slot and then do all sorts of things, then bring you in the block, bring an extra guy in the block. So much versatility. And the award, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can tell me, you can leave it in the chat, you can let me know in the comment section. Does the award not say the most outstanding player in college football? Player in total, everything that they do. All right, not just the outstanding. And if you go back to his touchdowns, all right, I'll play you this one more time. If you notice, when he scores a touchdown, he's not on some striking I guess it's not the who can strike the best pose. It's the most outstanding player in college football before the celebrations and all that. I'm not taking any jabs at Travis and Gentry or anything like that. I'm just saying, again, the focus should be on the most outstanding player in everything that they do, not the one that's just getting the most hype. All right, let me play this last one and then I'll close you guys out.
Advantage is making a contested catch by out-muscling the defender for the ball. The coverage is in his hip pocket, stride for stride, but it doesn't matter. He tracks this ball all the way and plucks it right out of the air above the defender's head. Where Warren is the biggest threat of all is the middle of the field, where he's already hauled in 23 first downs this season. Let's watch him run the seam here. Notice how he's particular with the tempo of his route. He doesn't want to run himself into the back end of the coverage before his quarterback takes his drop and is set to throw. When he gets over the top of the underneath defenders, he slows down. Now, when the ball arrives, he can use that 6'6" frame and reach to not only shield from the coverage, but to once again grab the ball up top. This is a staple for him in this offense. In this era, a lot of tight end prospects are pass catchers first and second, then blocking might come third. That's not Tyler Warren, though. Penn State's offense uses him on the line of scrimmage plenty, where he can fire off the snap and move people in the run game. This is a simple downhill run with man blocking in the red zone. He's going to explode off the ball and into his assignment, a linebacker, square with his shoulders, and great leverage underneath his pads. The running back follows his path and easily plunges into the end zone behind Warren's block. If you have thoughts or suggestions, get involved.
Listen, I watched that. It brings back so many memories. It is a pleasure. It is an absolute pleasure to watch a guy who can go from mossing a skilled defensive back, skilled corners, to come down low and to be able to drop his pads and be able to move actual linebackers, big, brolic linebackers that are well-informed guys, and then be able to jump back into the backfield, take a snap, and then potentially pass the ball and be able to lower your shoulder and do the amount of things that he can do. All right. And there's no argument here. There's just none. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big of a Travis Hunter fan you are. Again, I like Travis Hunter very, very much. I think he's just, even off the field, Travis Hunter, I think he's incredibly put together young man. I'm actually very proud of the fact that he flipped on Florida State and went to, trusted his gut and went with Coach Prime at Jackson State. I think that takes a ton of courage on his end, and that does deserve to be applauded. I don't want it to sound like I'm just the quote unquote, a lot of you guys call me a Travis Hunter hater or a Coach Prime hater. It's none of that. But when I watch this guy play, when I watched it, knowing what I know about the game, when I watch this guy play football, it is an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to watch. Obviously, me being a Michigan fan, it's now, I mean, I would have loved to see him in the maize and blue, obviously. But being that he wears that jersey number, seeing that he's from the DMV, and we as folks who are from the DMV, we get very little respect outside of the DMV when it comes to football. We're always looked at as basketball guys. When you see someone doing it the right way, very humble. When he scores, there's no striking, no poses, there's no showing off, no showboating, anything like that. That's the kind of player I want my nephew looking up to and say, that's class right there. That's blue collar work ethic. And when it comes to all of the things that he's doing, folks, like I said, I'll show you the film again. I'll show you these two clips again. When it comes to all that he's doing, it is really a really rare thing to see a player that has that type of versatility.
Versatile weapons in the entire country, whether it's catching, running, or even throwing touchdowns. He's been a dynamic threat for the Nittany Lions offense the entire season. Let's dive into the tape of the unique role he plays and why he's such a promising NFL prospect. Penn State lines up Warren just about everywhere. Check out this 3rd and 1 last weekend against Purdue. They have him in a variation of the Wildcat. Keep in mind, he's a legit threat to throw, so the defense can't entirely sell out against the run. But he's in there to move the chains with that 6'6", 257-pound frame of his. What leaves the defense speechless is the breakaway speed. This isn't a tush-push 1-yard conversion. Instead, it's explosive touchdown run where no one catches him. The fun is just getting started. Now let's take a look at Warren working out of the slot against Ohio State. He wants to get going vertically, but not a lot of tight ends are simply going to outrun a corner. Where they, and especially he, has the advantage.
All right, one more, and then I'll close you guys out with the understanding of how to translate that into your business and make sure that at least in-house that you are showing appreciation for the people that are doing so much and making you more versatile as a leader and as a caller and as a person that's making decisions.
Advantage is making a contested catch by out-muscling the defender for the ball. The coverage is in his hip pocket, stride for stride, but it doesn't matter. He tracks this ball all the way and plucks it right out of the air above the defender's head. Where Warren is the biggest threat of all is the middle of the field, where he's already hauled in 23 first downs this season. Let's watch him run the seam here. Notice how he's particular with the tempo of his route. He doesn't want to run himself into the back end of the coverage before his quarterback takes his drop and is set to throw. When he gets over the top of the underneath defenders, he slows down. Now, when the ball arrives, he can use that 6'6" frame and reach to not only shield from the coverage, but to once again grab the ball up top. This is a staple for him in this offense. In this era, a lot of tight end prospects are pass catchers first and second, then blocking might come third. That's not Tyler Warren, though. Penn State's offense uses him on the line of scrimmage plenty, where he can fire off the snap and move people in the run game. This is a simple downhill run with man blocking in the red zone. He's going to explode off the ball and into his assignment. A linebacker, square with his shoulders, and great leverage underneath his pads. The running back follows his path and easily plunges into the end zone behind Warren's block. If you have thoughts or suggestions, get involved.
So I encourage you guys, especially football people that are really, whether you're new to the game or you enjoy the game, I encourage you guys to go look this stuff up. Go watch film on it. There's tons of film breakdown. I think Urban Meyer even has a whole video. I think they do something with the Big Ten Network where he breaks down film and he speaks very highly and talks in detail about how much Tyler Warren is actually able to do and how versatile he's able to make an offensive coordinator and the nightmares that he's actually given defensive coordinators. All right. So I encourage you guys to go look up more of this stuff yourself. But as far as the sort of the takeaway from today's episode is making sure you as a business owner now, all right? You got to use what you see in the game, which is one of my superpowers. Use what you see in the game, the mistake that's being made in the game, and you have to fix it. So one of the things that I remember being told when I got moved to fullback when I was in college, all the players have sit downs with the head coach at the time. His name was Coach P. And right now, this was his first year not being the head coach at Stony Brook. Shout out to Coach Kosh, by the way. I saw you got the coach of the year. He put the Stony Brook Sea Wolves football program back on the right track. So congrats to him. Who too, by the way, is from the D.M.V. Like I said at the beginning, anybody from the D.M.V., anybody from Maryland, my Maryland folks that know football guys from Maryland, that's me. I'm always gonna cape up and ride with my D.M.V. guys that are into football. So shout out to Coach Kosh. I look forward. I'm gonna try to make the trip out to Long Island and chat with the guys and give a speech, give some motivation to the football program. I'll link up with Coach Hatch and I'll try to make it out there this spring. So, but anyway, one of the things that Coach P told me when they moved me from linebacker to fullback, and we had our final meetings at the end of I think it was at the end of the spring or the fall, one of them. He explained to me that being in that position, he said the importance of that position gets very overlooked because you are at the point of every single attack. So whenever I was on the field as a fullback, I was going to be at the point of every attack. What you just saw with Tyler Warren is when they bring him in and they look to block this linebacker out, he's at the point. A defensive coordinator knows that. All right, they know that, and they're communicating that with their guys. A smart linebacker, smart safety, smart defensive players know where that player is who's coming in, and they're looking to run behind him because he's that guy. So when you know you're going to be at the point of all the attacks that you're looking to launch on the defense, when you know you're going to be that guy, you have got to have your fundamentals on point. You got to be square, like they just explained. You got to make sure you're taking your proper steps, taking your proper angles, because you have the advantage as the offensive guy because you know the snap count, you know the play. The defense has an idea, but they don't know it. So you're going to be able to get that first step in, and your stuff has to be incredibly, you can't be reacting. You got to be the aggressor. All right. So when it comes to how we translate that into the business world, when you are in the process of interviewing people, when you're in the process of bringing folks in, your questions need to center around how many things they can do. The same way, I'm going to put the picture up for you right now. Swiss Army knives right here, right? The amount of things you can do. You cannot, I see this mistake happen. I see business owners make this mistake on a regular basis. You have a position that you put on Indeed and you bring the person in for that position and all of a sudden they're hired, where that may seem like a good idea when it's actually one of the worst things you can possibly do, because in business, you got to be growing. Your questions and who you bring in needs to be centered around how many things a person can actually do. When you center your questions and you center your whole framework and everything that you're about, and you say how many things you can do, now you're going to start to bring in a more versatile type of employee, and they're going to be taking their job a whole lot more seriously, because all of their skill sets are going to be utilized. And not only are they going to be utilized, but they're also going to be growing in nature. Again, Tyler Warren was a quarterback going to Penn State, but then they moved him to tight end, humble enough to do it, was able to take a lot of lessons, obviously, that he learned as a quarterback. Now that goes into some of his route running, where he needs to be, that goes into where he is blocking wise, that goes into so many different things. And it can work the same way if you as a business owner set the tone and set the culture for this. And I'll close you out with this example, because I learned this actually when I was 19 years old. I was a front desk associate. I was a front desk associate at a gym named Washington Sports Club in South Bethesda. At the time, I was rehabbing my knee. I just had knee surgery on my ACL. So it was the ideal position for me. But as a front desk, this gym happened to have babysitting as well. We also, when people come in for a workout, we had a place there where a babysitting place where they can drop off their kids and all that kind of stuff. And what they used to do when I worked there for a whole year, and what they used to do when I first got there, was they used to hire a front desk person and a babysitting person. They used to make this position separate. Eventually they got to the point where it's like, look, you're going to have to be able to do front desk and babysitting. You can't just do one or the other. They just merged the positions, and that turned out to be a better strategy. So they didn't have to worry about if the babysitter doesn't show up and the front desk person doesn't show up and all sorts of confusion that was going on in the front desk. And the same thing actually happened when I first got out here to South Florida. I moved out here to South Florida to work for the Miami Dolphins Foundation. Within the next season, actually, they just merged the staff. So there's a flagship event that the Miami Dolphins put on, which is called the Dolphins Cancer Challenge, where there's people 365 days out of the year trying to raise money for the DCC is what they call it. And then there's the Miami Dolphins Foundation, where you're just raising money in general through 50-50 raffle and I think they had the wheel thing, just raising money for the foundation to do other events and stuff like that. So eventually they just merged those staffs, right? It was the same people. I remember getting there my second season doing it, and it was the same staff at the DCC and the Miami Dolphins Foundation, and they just merged the staff. And if you would look on the Miami Dolphins website right now and look at the foundation staff, you would see the same people that was working in the DCC are the same people that are in the foundation now. It's about how many things you can do in the business world. So take that into consideration as you're watching all of these, and there's going to be a lot of it. Like I said, there's a lot I got to get to this weekend. But what you're going to see with all these individual accolades that are going to be given out, you're going to see it's not necessarily going to be about the well-informed folks, the people that that's why you got to watch the game. You're going to see a lot of the individual stuff sort of taking over the mainstream media and all the attention. When you as a business owner, you as a regular consumer of my work and what I'm all about, you have to use your discernment and say, okay, who's really making a difference? Who's really about it? Who's really doing this and really doing that? And let me apply these things to my business. All right. So all that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. That's makeyaMove.com. And also don't forget, tap into the Patreon link for exclusive content. We have something for everybody: preseason, regular season, postseason. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.